Hi all, this is your Professional Skills 2 F1 briefing. I'm Julia Clark, your lecturer, and today I'm just going to take you through how to access this assessment on Call Campus, and then I'm going to go through all of the questions individually. So I assume you've all logged into to Call Campus already. You should come across this dashboard, go across to Professional Skills 2, and then to assignments, and these are all broken up according to semester A and B. So you find semester B, Professional Skills F1 semester B, and you'll see that this is due on the 4th of September before midnight. So please make an effort to submit this assessment early, because once the Call Campus portal closes, that's it. So try and submit early just in case you come across any technological issues. So you can click on here, and then we're going to find the assignment. The link to download is right at the bottom, so I'll show you where that is when we get there. So as you know, professional skills is all about developing you as a person, helping you to understand your own characteristics and how these impact upon your interpersonal relationships, both at work but also in your personal lives. So what this assessment is based on is you being able to look at areas that you might be able to grow professionally in and personally too, and helping you see how you'll be able to improve upon these areas. So this is obviously an individual assignment, and we're going to guide you through the processes of self-reflection as well as introspection that prepares you for the media world of work, for your experiential learning, but also just improves you as a person. I think we could all benefit from doing these once a year. So you're going to start off by using the chapter in your textbook called Self-Awareness, A Point of Departure. Go through this chapter, I'd say 2 to 3 times. Once you've done that, go to the end of the chapter and do all of the self-awareness questionnaires. And just look at what your scores say about you. So you need to analyze your scores with all of those marking grids. Just think about what these scores say about you. Then at the end of this brief, there is a self-awareness profile. Summarize what your scores are there. Then you're going to need to copy and paste this self-awareness profile into your assessment. Please make sure that you do that, because without that, we are unable to mark your action plan. Then the next section is to set up your action plan. And this is designed to help you improve and increase your self-awareness. So this is what your action plan should look like. The first question that you need to answer is, in what 3 areas do I most need to improve my self-awareness? Now, it is very important that these areas are actually self-awareness areas. And look through the whole all of the questionnaires and make sure that it correlates to specific self-awareness areas. So don't say things like, I need to improve upon my Big 5 personality score, because what does that mean? There is no wrong Big 5 personality score. There's no bad or good. So you need to make sure that you identify very specifically what area you need to improve on in terms of your self-awareness. So if you struggle with time management, there's actually a deeper area there. It's not only time management that you struggle with, it's actually self-management. So why do you think you struggle with self-management will be an important aspect of this question to answer. So here, you need to reflect on yourself and your scores and really, really describe these areas in full. So if self-management is a self-awareness area that you struggle with, say, I need to improve upon my self-management. The reason for this is that I always leave tasks to the last minute. I'm not very organized when it comes to my schoolwork, and my time management suffers because of this. That would be, please don't use that answer, but that would be an example of how you could be specific and full in terms of your answer. You need to give 3 areas and a description for each area. That's 6 marks. Next is why. What would be my payoff? You need to discuss the reason and payoff for each area that you've discussed above. So each of these 3 areas impact on all of these answers. So you need to reflect on yourself and your scores and describe why you need to work on this area. But also reflect on the payoffs. What's in it for you? What is going to improve once you improve upon this area? Then next is your potential obstacles that stand in your way. You need to discuss realistic obstacles for each area that you've identified. So again, be specific. Every one of your answers, you need to be specific. So reflect and think about what could be standing in your way of improving your self-awareness. And then 1.4, what are the specific things I will do to enhance my self-awareness? So here, you need to use the theory from your textbook to inform your answer. How to increase your self-awareness is a section in your textbook. You need to apply it. So don't just be vague and say, I will write a journal. Be specific about it. Are you going to keep this journal for work? Is it going to be personal, or is it going to be only professional? Are you going to post it online? Is it going to be a video blog, or is it going to be a blog? Or, all of these things, you really need to be specific. You can look at the reinforcement exercises in your textbook. These can guide you on how to go forward. But remember, it needs to be specific to your situation. Next is, when will I do them? You need to set a realistic timeline, and you need to show that you've reflected and thought about these timelines. Don't just be vague and say 21 days, because that's how long it takes to create a habit. It needs to be specific to your area of improvement and realistic. So don't say, I'm going to spend 5 hours a day working on this. And then finally, how are you going to measure your success? What does success look like for you? How will you know that this area is now not an issue for you anymore? For each and every single one of the 3 areas, you need to explain how will you measure your success for each of these. Question 2 is to develop an up-to-date CV that you're going to use for your experiential learning. So I'm just going to go down to... Here you go, the mark breakdown. This is exactly how we're going to award marks for this. So first of all, is your email address professional? Your email address needs to just be your first name and surname, or some kind of iteration of that. Please don't be creative with your email addresses. They need to be boring. They just need to be your name. Next is the length of your CV as recommended. 2 pages is the maximum length that your CV should ever be, no matter how important you are. 2 pages is really it. Next, we're marking in terms of your appearance. Are your font sizes appropriate? Are there design elements, headings, line spaces, bullets, etc., that will guide your reader? Is there a good balance between text and white space? Are your margins even? Are they consistent throughout the document? Next is your CV, your structure. Are all necessary sections present? Your heading, your personal and contact details, your education, your work history, your extracurricular activity, and references. Are they in a logical sequence? And is your education and work history listed in reverse chronological order? So this is the most recent thing first, going back from there. Your content is next. Do you provide at least 2 communication methods? So this would be your phone number, your email address, and yeah, you don't need to include your physical address. Next is including your LinkedIn profile. So you will have to have a LinkedIn profile for this. Make sure you don't just write your name there. You need an actual full LinkedIn URL. And if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you can get started working on that now. Have you omitted non-relevant personal information? So if you are a smoker, your health records, whether you're married or not, all of those things are irrelevant. Have you included your computer and language skills? Have you used industry keywords? Have you included any awards or affiliations? Have you avoided claiming that you have soft skills for which you can provide no proof? And if you list extracurricular activities, you need to list extracurricular activities. Are they relevant? So something like reading, socializing with my friends, not really interesting to anyone. But if you like directing short films in your spare time, that's an interesting extracurricular activity, or something that indicates charity, or if you play on a sports team, or anything like that. Next, your 2 to 3 references with all necessary details. And when we're talking about necessary details, we mean their full name, name and surname, where they work, their position in that job, and their contact details. And then finally, your writing style. You need to avoid writing in the first person, and your content needs to be logical and easy to understand. And then finally, just your spelling, grammar, language, punctuation, and all of that gets marked. And it's really important that all of those, that your spelling, grammar, and punctuation are perfect, because that can exclude you from a job if you don't have perfect spelling and grammar. Okay, question 3. As a Prof Skills 2 student, you've been approached by BMH to create content for them, and the theme for this content is emotional intelligence. So you've got a choice. You can either create a podcast for BMH Radio, or you can create a video for BMH TV. You have to understand, or you have to exhibit an understanding of EI in this video, and it needs to be no longer than 2 minutes. It can be recorded on your phone. We're not going to mark you for sound quality. You don't need to spend hours and hours perfectly editing this. What we're most interested in is the content. So here's what you need to cover in your podcast. You need to have a short explanation of what emotional intelligence is. Remember to reference this. You don't get this off the top of your head. It's from your textbook. Next, you need to give us a scenario in which emotional intelligence was not exhibited. So you need to explain the situation in full of a scenario of how someone showed bad emotional intelligence. It's for 5 marks, so you do have to give the relevant information there. And then you have to give recommendations on how the situation could have been improved if the people involved had have used the 4 components of emotional intelligence in your textbook. So here, you need to use the theory in the textbook and talk about the 4 components of emotional intelligence to analyze the situation and give an informed recommendation of how the situation could have been handled better if everyone there had have used emotional intelligence. And then finally, you need to upload this link to YouTube. Only YouTube will be accepted. Please don't use any other platforms. They will not be marked. And then include the link in your assessment. Importantly here, please also include the transcript for this podcast or video, because in the case that your link doesn't work for whatever reason, we can still mark this assessment. So please make sure you include this transcript. Additional marks, you've got 5 marks for referencing both in text and on your list of references, 5 marks for professional presentation and formatting, and 5 marks for good use of language. I'm going to jump down a little bit here to the evidence requirements. Obviously, this is an individual assignment, and this is uploaded onto Cole Campus, so it is an online submission. But even though it's an online submission, you still need to have a cover page including all of the relevant details. This is more important than ever now. Plagiarism penalties still apply, so please make sure that you avoid plagiarism as much as you can, because it is a minus 100% penalty. So you want to make sure that you avoid that. I will be having a question and answers session after this video is posted, so please watch through this video 1 or 2 times. Jot down any questions that you can have and bring them to the question and answer session on Zoom. If you have missed that, I will be uploading a video of it. And obviously, please get in touch with me via email if you have any questions or if you'd like me to check through drafts. Best of luck with your assignments all. Hopefully hear from you soon.